I just fixed, and this week's movie is The Secret of My Success. Now, I picked this one, and the reason I picked this one is because I was watching it. I watched it the other day. I haven't seen this movie since probably the 80s. Came out in 1987. Herbert Ross directed. He had a lot of movies that he directed back in the day. A lot of them were musicals and things. He was a big theater guy, a big dance choreography guy. So when he started taking on movies, he was a good director, but I noticed that movies that he produced maybe weren't his best products, and this is one of the movies that he produced. Now, I like The Secret of My Success. I love Michael J. Fox. There are things with this movie that are troublesome, and it's a raunchy sex comedy, which I did not remember it being. I remember watching it on TV as a kid, but I didn't remember it being this raunchy sex comedy. Now, I remember he had an affair with his aunt, which was odd. And as a kid, I don't think I thought about it. But as a adult watching this movie, I'm like, okay, interesting, crazy. And then, but the whole thing is a little too convoluted. So let me get to the story. Brantley, played by Michael J. Fox, is coming from the Midwest. He went to college. He wants to make it in the world of business. So he moves to New York City. He's supposed to have a job there, waiting for him. And as he gets in, he finds out the job is gone. So now he's kind of up the creek without a paddle. As he's going, he is trying to figure out where to get a new job, what to do. His mother's pushing him, go talk to your uncle. He runs some business out there. I'm sure he would meet with you. He had never met the uncle before. So finally he goes and sees him. They get along pretty well. He gives him a job in the mailroom. So Brantley thinks that he should probably be doing more because he is a smart guy in the movie. He's a really smart, business-minded guy who has a way of doing things. I think there's a brilliance that's supposed to be there. So as it kind of comes about, Brantley is doing his thing. He's, working, he's working his way up. He's doing the mailroom, kind of going into it and things like that. And then he gets pulled in to drive the boss's wife home. Drives the wife home. He doesn't know it's his aunt. Winds up, she's unhappy in the marriage, can't stand it. Sleeps with him. Find out that it's his aunt because he sees his uncle walking in. And it all is catastrophe from there. The aunt is now smitten with him, but he's in love with another executive that works there, played by Helen Slater. It's supposed to be a rom-com, but it's not really. It just doesn't work. He and another side storyline that they have going on is they're doing company-wide layoffs. So a lot of the jobs that are supposed to be getting done are being doubled up around. So he just starts taking over those jobs, takes over an office that has just been emptied out and starts doing the jobs and making things work. So he made up this whole person a la Shawshank and becomes an executive at the business. The uncle thinks it's corporate espionage. The whole thing is just convoluted. It's crazy as I go on and I even think about it. And the fact of the matter is, I would have preferred to see a movie that was missing one of these elements. I think you had one too many elements because it's all tied up into a nice little bow at the end. The uncle's the ultimate bad guy, is what it is. But it just doesn't work for me because ultimately Brantley didn't have an affair with his, knowing that she was married, had an affair with his aunt or his uncle. Then also, and I think they kind of explained it that it's not really his uncle. It's just kind of like a friend of the family or whatever, but whatever. And then Helen Slater kind of comes back in and wants to work with them. There's no chemistry between them. So if you want to have the romantic angle of it, I would think if you want to push it and have this raunchy sex type of comedy or whatever, I would push it in a way that's make the uncle an ass to him. He still gets a job in the mailroom. Maybe he got the job in the mailroom without the uncle, meets the uncle. The uncle's an ass to him. Then you have him, unknowingly, because you still have to keep him the hero, sleep with his wife. Then when he finds out, oh my God, you're my aunt, like this is crazy, I shouldn't have done this. She's like, the divorce papers are all, we're separated. Divorce papers are all but signed and whatnot. And we're on our way to it, and I like you. And then make the rom-com between them. Maybe she's trying to keep pushing and he's trying to stay out of it because he's trying to get into the business and do the executive side. Now you can do that. I think that would make for a better movie. And then by the end, they kind of come around. You find out that the company was actually hers, which is what it was in the movie. And she buys out the stocks. And then they come together and he kind of works with her, helps her build the company back out and to push the uncle out. You can kind of keep that and it still works. It's still kind of shitty, but just make the uncle even worse. Like, he was a cheater. He was terrible to her. He was terrible to him. He is a terrible guy overall, a terrible business guy and everything else. But if you had kept the love story between them, I think that would have been different. It would have been a little more interesting. And, then I could see the ending kind of playing out the way it did. You don't need to keep the ending that way. Honestly, I think it would be better if it didn't work out for him and he had to kind of not even go back, but like had to go find his way another way. But now he has more experience and such. I think ending like that in movies like this are better. But if you want the happy ending, I just say you keep that as there. But you could keep to have the young Helen Slater type of character. She was very young at that time, very beautiful. Although there was no chemistry between her and Michael J. Fox. They just didn't work well. It was like Wood acting against Michael J. Fox. It just wasn't working. So the chemistry just wasn't there. I would recast her, but then lose the aunt angle. Just have him as a guy who starts in the mailroom on his uncle's company and decides to start doing side work to build his way up and start pretending to be an executive to get, to maybe meet her, to do whatever else. And then you can play that up and it'd be more rom-com traditional sense. I think either way would work. I think the Ant one would be a more interesting type of movie. That's my fix for it. I think that's how you make The Secret of My Success a little bit different, a little bit more interesting. But I would love to hear what you guys think. Of course, to do these, people give them to me. So if you have a movie you want me to fix, my only parameters are please make it a movie that is kind of obscure, maybe a box office bomb. It has to be a studio film. I will not do this with indie films. So if you guys have movies that you want me to try, please let me know. Go check out our other stuff. Thank you guys for watching this, whether you're watching this in the clip or you're watching or listening on the Scene Snobs podcast. I truly appreciate you. Thank you guys again. I'm Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs. Guys, thank you for watching and listening to the podcast. I'm